Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian World. I'm your host, Anurgan Batur. And for top stories, regular cabinet meeting updates. Embassy of Hungary in Mongolia organizes Easter holiday event. And pneumonia has become the leading cause of death in Mongolia. And for the news, stay tuned. The government of Mongolia held its regular meeting on April 5th, during which they discussed and resolved several issues. Operation Glass, the Prime Minister tasked with intensifying the implementation of Operation Glass to ensure citizens' right to access information. The Minister of Electronic Development and Communications, Ochral, presented progress to the government about the implementation of Operation Glass, one of the 5 anti-corruption measures implemented by the government in 2023. Also, the measures include whistle, sweep, bird, transfer and glass. Second, environmental impact assessment. The government evaluated the environmental impact of land use certificates issued in specially protected areas. The evaluation included the contract, payment status of the land use, potential negative effects and consequences on the environment during activities, production and service of people and legal entities, and measures to eliminate them. The government requested information on the environmental impact of the use of subsoil resources. State property policy and regulation. The government evaluated the structure and composition of the Board of Directors and Supervisory Board of State and Local Ownership and private legal entities with participation in state and local ownership. The government requested names of their members and parents' names of the executive management, the amount of salary and bonuses they receive, official email addresses, requirements for the management of the legal entity, management selection procedure, selection dates, and information about the participants in the selection process. Fourth, special fund spending. The government evaluated information on spending, performance, funded projects, and measures of the government's special fund, along with related decisions. Members of the government, governors of provinces and capitals, head of the State Property Policy and Regulation Department, and the management and directors of the government's special fund were instructed to submit this information to the Minister of Electronic Development and Communications by June 1st, 2023. Foreign exchange reserves. The Minister of Economy and Development, Hurtwater, presented to the government a summary of the activities implemented since the implementation of the government resolution number 362. The government aimed to increase the state's foreign exchange reserves. The official foreign currency reserves increased to $3.4 billion by the end of March 2023. The government attributed the increase in foreign exchange reserves to the activity of the ports and the increase in exports. Science and technology. The government issued a resolution on some measures to be taken in the field of science and technology. The government aimed to emphasize the role of the scientific sector and its contribution to mega projects aimed at reviving the economy over a short period. The government encouraged an active partnership of the public and private sector and investors to achieve the medium-term goals of the new revival policy. Seventh, support for cultural creative production. The draft law regarding the support of creative cultural production was discussed and approved. The government aims to regulate relationship entered into towards the development of creative cultural production, increase competitiveness, and establish the legal basis of the form and management organization of supporting creative cultural production. With the approval of the draft law, an environment for the development of the creative cultural production will be set up. The process of bringing cultural products and services into economic circulation will increase, and the social and economic importance of culture will be measured. The competitiveness of cultural products and services will improve, opportunities to compete in foreign markets will increase, and jobs will be created. The Hungarian embassy in Mongolia organized the festive Easter holiday event at Blumon on April 5th, bringing together the Hungarian and Mongolian communities for a day of celebration. This was the first time that Easter was celebrated in Mongolia, as the Hungarian Studies major has been opened at the National University of Mongolia. The event was held at the Blumon Center and featured traditional Hungarian dishes, as well as music and dancing. Guests were treated to a range of activities, including egg painting. The Hungarian embassy in Mongolia also invited dancers and singers from Hungary to perform at the event, providing an opportunity for the embassy to showcase Hungarian culture to the Mongolian community. The performances included traditional Hungarian folk music and dance. In addition to the Hungarian performances, state-merited artist of Mongolia, Ms. Bairma, performed a Hungarian traditional song called Spring Breeze at the event, adding a unique Mongolian touch to the celebration. The Hungarian ambassador to Mongolia, Her Excellency Borbala Obrushansky, PhD, expressed her delight at the success of the event. It's an honor to celebrate Eastern Mongolia for the first time and to see the Hungarian and Mongolian communities come together to share their cultures with each other, she said. Easter is a time for family, friends and community, and we are thrilled to have been able to organize this event to bring everything together, she added.
It's the first time to celebrate Easter holiday in Mongolia. The reason is that we opened the Hungarian cultural studies in Mongolian National University, and that's why we would like to promote Hungarian language and culture.
The Easter event brought both Hungarian and Mongolian communities together to celebrate this important holiday and enjoy cultural exchange. The Hungarian embassy in Mongolia, under the leadership of Her Excellency Borbala Obrushansky, hopes to continue organizing similar events in the future to further promote cultural exchanges and understanding between the countries. The opening of the Hungarian Studies major at the National University of Mongolia is a significant step towards strengthening the cultural ties between the two countries. Pneumonia has become the leading cause of death in Mongolia, according to recent reports from the Ministry of Health. The number of people visiting hospitals due to respiratory issues has quadrupled over the past decade, with 10% of people per 10,000 visiting hospitals for respiratory issues 10 years ago, compared to 40% of people per 10,000 currently. The deterioration of people's health is attributed to a weakened immune system and antibiotic resistance. Upon testing, it was discovered that the bacteria causing pneumonia had become resistant to all antibiotics. Experts stress the importance of following doctors' instructions for the prescribed period of time to reduce the risk of complications.
The reason behind the deterioration of people's health is the immune status and antibiotic resistance. After testing and seeing what kind of bacteria are causing it, it has become resistant to all antibiotics. The risk of complications will be reduced by following the doctor's instruction for the prescribed period of time.
In developed countries, vaccines have been used to reduce mortality from pneumonia, and scientists in Mongolia believe administering flu vaccines with pneumonia vaccines could help reduce complications from the disease. Pneumococcus is a major cause of pneumonia, meningitis, and acute respiratory infections in young children. Researchers suggest that implementing a vaccine among adults, especially among them from at-risk groups, would decrease the number of infections and mortality rates.
Pneumococcus causes pneumonia, meningitis, and acute respiratory infections in young children. All these can reduce the number of infections. Very good results have been observed, such as a decrease in the incidence of pneumonia, a decrease in the mortality rate, and a decrease in the incidence of mortality due to meningitis. Therefore, since we have basic research, it is advisable to administer the vaccine among adults, especially among at-risk groups.
Individuals at high risk of dying from pneumonia include children under 2 years of age, people over 65 years of age, pregnant women with serious illnesses, and mining workers. In recent years, cases of severe pneumonia among mining workers have increased. The cost of non-hospital pneumonia treatment averages $55,000 internationally. The introduction of a vaccine against this disease could reduce the incidence of pneumonia by 50% among young children, according to estimates. The Ministry of Health is urging Mongolians to take measures to prevent the spread of pneumonia, including getting vaccinated and following healthy lifestyle habits. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here's the international news from our partner agencies. Risking China's IRA, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy welcomed Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen to a high-level meeting on U.S. soil as a great friend of America on Wednesday in a broad show of U.S. support. More than a dozen Democratic and Republican lawmakers, including the House's third-ranking Democrat, joined Republican McCarthy for the talks at Southern California's Ronald Reagan Presidential Library against the backdrop of rising tensions between the U.S. and China. Speaker McCarthy emphasized that the friendship between the people of Taiwan and America is a matter of profound importance to the free world.
Today I'm honored to meet with Taiwan's President Tsai as she transits the United States. Fittingly, our discussion took place here at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. Here at his library, there are countless exhibits that capture President Reagan's patriotic spirit, his belief in democracy, and commitment to the ideas of peace and freedom. Those values have always served as the bedrock of our friendship with the people of Taiwan. And they are more important now than ever before. I believe our bond is stronger now than at any time or point in my lifetime.
While President Tsai thanked the Speaker for the support in our efforts to protect our way of life, Taiwan is grateful to have the United States of America by our side. The U.S. acknowledges a one-China policy in which Beijing lays claim to Taiwan, but it does not endorse China's claim to the island and remains Taiwan's key provider of military and defense assistance. For Tsai Ing-wen, it was the most sensitive stop on a week-long journey meant to shore up alliances with the U.S. and Central America.
Their presence and unwavering support reassure the people of Taiwan that we are not isolated and we are not alone. It is no secret that today, the peace that we have maintained and the democracy which have worked hard to build are facing unprecedented challenges. We once again find ourselves in a world where democracy is under threat, and the urgency of keeping the beacon of freedom shining cannot be understated. President Reagan said it best: freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation.
The U.S. House Speaker is second in line of succession to the President. No speaker is known to have met with a Taiwan President on a U.S. soil since the U.S. broke off formal diplomatic relations. China has reacted to past trips by Taiwanese presidents through the U.S. and to past trips to Taiwan by senior U.S. officials with shows of military force. The Chinese responded to a visit by then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan last August with its largest live-fire drones in decades, including firing a missile over the island. Chinese officials have pledged a sharp but unspecified response to the meeting with McCarthy. There was no immediate reaction from China on Wednesday, a holiday there. Russian President Vladimir Putin met his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko in Moscow on Wednesday. The meeting came ahead of a session of the Supreme State Council of the Union State on Thursday. Russian President Vladimir Putin welcomed Belarus counterpart Alexander Lukashenko to Moscow on Wednesday for 2 days of talks, but in their opening public remarks, both men steered clear on the war in Ukraine. I must say that a lot has been done as a result of our joint work in all areas. Tomorrow, I repeat, we will discuss all this. This also applies to our interaction in the international arena to jointly solve issues of ensuring the security of our states. But of course, it is especially gratifying to note that the results of our work in the economic sphere. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said last week that two leaders would discuss Lukashenko's call for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine. Last month, Putin said Russia would deploy tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. Moscow is Minsk's closest political and financial backer. Lukashenko allowed Putin to use the territory of Belarus as a launchpad for the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. We didn't collapse. Yes, it won't be easy. Well, when is it easy? We'll endure and do everything, even in microelectronics, about which you and I met about a year ago in your office and discussed what we should do. It turns out that there is an opportunity to work in this sphere. Missiles fly and military equipment move both in our and your country. So we will overcome everything, and we just need some time. Russia and Belarus are formally part of a union state, a borderless union and alliance between two former Soviet republics. Russia's pre-war population was around 140 million compared to just 9 million for Belarus. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow with news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.